G'day, let's have a look at this ultrasonic cleaner today. So this basically just has a small little vat up the top here that you fill up with water, turn it on, and what you can hear there is sound waves being pumped through, well, the water that would be here, and then that's how this basically cleans. So ultrasonic it uses ultrasonic frequency, so above 20 kilohertz. It pumps a whole bunch of those sound waves into the water, and then that's basically how it cleans things. So this can be really handy for things like glasses or any sort of carburetors or tools, anything that especially has small little holes inside it so that it's really difficult for you to reach into. So anything like that, this is super good to clean with. And it's usually done in a few minutes. It doesn't take too long unless the part is really dirty and cooked on. Leaving it for 10-20 minutes, then it usually gets the job done really well. But just to go into a little bit more detail of how it actually uses those sound waves to clean, underneath here, it's going to have a strong transducer. So that transducer is going to pump a lot of those sound waves directly into the water. That the water is going to sit here, basically. So it'll pump all those sound waves into the water. And what it does, as those sound waves travel through the water, they've got a high pressure front. So the front of those waves, as they move through the water, they're going to be at a high pressure. Right behind that high pressure, there's going to be a low pressure, that water, because that wave pushes the water through and then it pulls the rest behind it. So as it pulls it, that little slit inside will stay really low pressure. Now, because of that low pressure, the water in that area is going to boil. And that boiling basically creates a lot of little cavitation bubbles. So those bubbles form really quickly, and then they're tiny little bubbles, and there's a lot of water pressure around them, so it's just going to squish on them. They're going to implode, and then as they implode, they produce a lot of energy, and that energy gets released in that local area, which happens all around the water. And that's basically how the cleaning process happens. So I did also say boiling there, right? With water, this does not heat up the water. The water will stay at whatever temperature you put it in there. It might heat up a little bit, but nowhere near up to 100 degrees centigrade to actually boil traditionally under the 1 atmospheric pressure. Now, the reason that happens is the water does actually boil, because boiling doesn't mean it gets up to 100 degrees. Boiling just means that change of state from the liquid into a gas. So at a lower pressure, in that lower pressure band right below the high pressure wave, in that low pressure band, the pressure is significantly, obviously, lower than at 1 atmosphere. What that means is it gives the hydrogen bonds that hold the different molecules of water together, it makes it a lot easier for them to break. So basically, the lack of atmosphere, it doesn't apply all that pressure on them, so the bonds can break a lot easier, and it takes less energy to effectively break them. What you can also do is you can put warm water in here as well. So the warmer water that you put in, the more energy that water's already going to have. So it's going to perhaps work even better, because those bonds will break even sooner because they already have that energy, that thermal energy inside them. So that's effectively how this works. What we're going to do is we'll take the whole thing apart, have a look at all the bits and pieces inside it. Then I'll put the whole thing back together, and then we'll actually do a demo. So I'll put some water in here, and I've got some glasses over here just to clean, and another actual plumbing fitting that is quite dirty and it's got a lot of random stuff on it. Everything from this calcium buildup here, we've got a little bit of silicone glue, and then there's a little bit of grease there as well. So we're going to see how that works. So we'll see how that works, and if you want to see that, stick around till the end of the video and we can have a look at it. So effectively, as I mentioned, a little stainless steel vat on top. We just have a little cover here, so in case that does vibrate and the water does move around, it doesn't splash everywhere. And then on the front, we just have a little display here, an on and off button. That's just a capacitive button. You just touch the top, turns the whole device on and off, and then the display just starts counting down in seconds. I think that was 180 seconds. It just starts counting down. If you press the T here, that will just change the time so you can run this for longer. So just to show that, we can go 180, we can go up to 300, 480, and back to under 90. So depending on how long you want to run this, how dirty the thing is and what you're cleaning, you can have those different modes, time modes. This is just powered by mains voltage, so I'll put that away before we actually start digging into anything. And then on the bottom, we just have these rubber feet, which are actually really nice to see. So as this sits on the surface, the whole thing will vibrate around a little bit, and it's good for that to just absorb some of that vibration so it doesn't get passed down into the bench or wherever it's sitting. Now the whole thing is made of plastic, so when you do put water in here, you do want to be careful not to spill any around, because if you do get into these little cracks, it will then seep in and into the electronics, which obviously isn't good. So you want to put the water in, close it off, and then plug it in, and then go from there. But as far as what's holding it together. There's 2 visible screws here, and there might be some more screws under the feet, so I'll just dig straight into it and open this up. Alright, so that's just to open up the bottom cover. It's just a cheap plastic cover, absolutely nothing special with it. A couple of standoffs here for these screws to sit on so it holds the bottom plate together, and then we've got a couple more screws that go into these standoff, but 6 screws are all that hold it together on the underside. Just a little sticker there as well to say what this is, so we can see obviously household ultrasonic cleaner, 220 volts, and then that's pretty useful there. Actually 46 kilohertz is what the frequency this works at. So really it has to work above 20 kilohertz, but the higher frequency usually means there's more energy that gets pushed into it at a smaller interval on those little waves. So there's less space between those little waves, so effectively more waves. That's why we can get more energy into it. So I'll take that off, and then we just have this PCB that just pops out. There's nothing actually holding the PCB in place, but it does sit nicely in here, and then as that bottom cover is on this, it does hold it in place quite nicely. But the moment you take that front cover off, this whole thing just comes straight out. Alright, so it looks like we've got 2 wires going in, so there's going to be the transducer is going to be underneath here. We've got 2 wires coming in from that 220 volt input, and then we've got a few more wires going down to this other little PCB down the bottom, and then that's just going to be for the display up here. So I'll keep opening this up to see if I can get that speaker out, so we can pop the transducer so we can see that transducer really nicely. Okay, so that's everything taken apart now. What we've got, let's start with the actual PCB. So this here is the main PCB that powers this whole device. So we can have a quick look at it. Nothing too special on it really. So here we've got the input voltage coming in, go through a couple of little capacitors. Then we've got a common mode choke, which is good to see. So that's just going to be filtering any high frequency oscillation that comes in from that AC supply. A few more capacitors here, which is nice, quite big and beefy. Now this is interesting. So this is just a relay. So that relay is what's used to actually switch this whole device on and off. So this is always powered up, and then when this is on, it just passes the actual power onto the second part of the board. So another capacitor there, another common mode choke there as well. So that's going to be doing some more filtering. Then we've got a transformer. So that transformer there is going to be stepping down the voltage into a lower voltage. So I don't know what voltage this actually runs at for the actual transducer, but it's going to be lower than 220 volts. So that transformer, I can't see anything. So that transformer there is just stepping down that voltage. That voltage then gets passed onto these 2 transistors here, and then these 2 transistors are what's actually doing that switching to turn that on and off really quickly and creating that signal that gets passed down through these wires into the actual transducer at that certain frequency, so at the 26 kilohertz. So that's what's generating that signal there. On the other side, we don't really have anything, just a few small diodes by the look of it. That's pretty much it. Just a nice thick track, which is good to see. There's not really any delicate components on this at all. And then again, on this side here, we just have all those components. So there's no elastic, there's no silicon holding any of this together. All of these, you can obviously see I can just move them around and wobble them, which isn't good, especially considering that this device does vibrate quite violently. It will, obviously the transducer will produce and focus most of that vibration into the actual vat over there, but the PCB will still vibrate. So it would have been good to see a bunch of elastic spread over this just to hold these components together. But in the grand scheme of things, this will probably still last quite a while, as it is meant to be, a household one. It's not a heavy duty or anything. So provided you don't use this all the time, it shouldn't really have too many issues. There's some pretty nice big beefy components on it. So that's effectively that power supply side, and then the actual speaker control side. Then we've got this small board here. So this is what I was playing with before. So you've got these capacitive touch buttons and then the little display. So you've got this PCB here that's actually just screwed on by a couple more screws holding that in place. And then there's only 3 wires that actually go into the main board. So I can see 5 volts there. So it does say plus 5 volts. So something down here is the transformer, and a couple of other components would basically just be stepping that down into that 5 voltage range. On here, we've got 2 microcontrollers, or U1 and U2, and a whole bunch of resistors. So Basically, that's just going to be powering the screen and doing that logic for actually timing, the timing logic. So as you do press these little buttons here, which are really interestingly done. So that's again going to be capacitive. A foil on the outside, this metallic foil that conducts, and then just a little foam pad. I'll get that to focus. There. And then just a little foam on the inside. So that foam on the inside, not foil. So that foam on the inside is there just for the resistance. So as you press it, it then springs back and it just provides that pressure to push that button back up. And the actual conductive foil on the outside, it's just going to be picking up that electric field from you that gets conducted back through this, and then the difference in the capacitance between effectively yourself, because you act as a capacitor, and then the actual voltage running through this, that's what's detected. And that slight little change and that little difference is how these buttons then actually do get triggered. So that's pretty neat to see. There's no actual touching this. Not that this is only powered by 5 volts anyway. There's not really many ways for the high voltage to actually leak up into this and then you touching it, unless, I mean, there could be a little short somewhere and then pump that high power up. But it is good to see that it's completely isolated. So when you are touching this, you're just touching the outside of the plastic, not actually any of the physical buttons or anything on this, obviously, high frequency board. As far as this case itself is concerned, we really just have this socket that's mounted to it. So that's just the 240 volts that comes in and then clips onto the board through this. And then inside here, I think you saw me pull this whole tub out. So this tub just sits inside and we just have that little space for the transducer there. And then where the magic happens, we've got the actual tub. So this is stainless steel, which is good because you're going to have a lot of water in here and you don't want this to rust, especially if it gets scratched with any of that. And if you have anything hard in there, any hard metal, it will abrade against this surface. So you don't want to have that rusting. So that's good to see, stainless steel. And then this is the actual transducer here. So it's really thin. It's most likely a piezoelectric transducer that can produce that very high frequency, or really any frequency it wants. But piezoelectric is good for the high frequency. So that's good to see. It is very nice and thin, and it seems to be adhered onto the actual stainless steel vat very well. So all the way around, secured in this nice hard elastic, almost epoxy, that's then just cured and holding it in place. And then we've got the 2 wires coming out, just obviously that sort of positive or negative, I guess, although it is AC, so it will alternate. And then we just have more elastic up here to just protect these wires. So if you do pull in this, you're not actually going to pull that speaker out. So there we go, just have a quick close look at that. Worth noting, all around the outside here, we have this plastic casing that sort of holds it in place. And then we just have, that just feels like silicone, just nice and soft silicone that actually holds all of that in place there. So then as this sits inside here, there's 6 screws that correspond to these standoffs here to hold this in place. Although only 4 of them were actually screwed in, the other 2 weren't screwed in. So I don't know, you can see that one there was screwed, but this one here is still completely fresh factory finish. So I'm not sure if they missed the 2 screws or just determined they don't need them. And then the connector just slides nicely through that and it all just sort of sits together, clips in place and sits in there. All right, so I think that's pretty much it as far as an overlook of how this works and what's inside it. I'll put this whole thing together now and then let's do an actual test run of it. All right, here we go. So let's give it a go. I've got some glasses here. I'll just put a little bit of grease on them. They aren't all that terribly clean anyway, but just put a little bit of grease on them just to dirty them up a little bit more. There we go. So they're nice and messy. Put that inside and then just pour some tap water onto this or into this. Cover the whole thing up. And I'll turn this on for a few minutes and then we can see how it went. Alright, so that's been in there for a bit longer, I think about 5-6 minutes, and it's done a much better job actually cleaning those glasses as well. What you could see as well is if you look carefully around the outside, there's a whole bunch of dirt that was stuck inside those little crevices, so all of that's already also come out. You could actually see that coming out through the water. So just as another quick little test, we'll put this inside for a little bit, turn it on, and then just see. We should be able to see some of this stuff come straight off of it. There we go, so that's been in there for about 5 minutes. So to note, the water has actually gotten warmer. It's still not hot, but it is a bit warmer. So this water that I put in here was 21 degrees Celsius, and this here now is 26.7, so you can see that. So it does warm up a little bit. Those sound waves produce a lot of energy, and that energy has to go somewhere, so it gets dissipated off as heat in that water. So you can see the water is quite a bit more murky, and there's a lot of little bits of gunk in there. Now, as far as this, it's probably going to be hard to see. It hasn't made a massive difference to it. But if I just give it a bit of a wipe, you can see a lot more of that stuff comes off. And it's completely cleaned all that oil off of it. There's not any more oil on here. It is still a little bit sticky. You would need some sort of a degreaser for that, or just put a bit of detergent in there as well. But a lot of this calcium here, calcium buildup has come off. And again, this was just for a few minutes. So something like this that's very gunky, you'd have to leave in here for 20-30 minutes, a lot longer to get it cleaned out better. But that's it. Thanks very much for watching. I'll put a link down to this below if you do want to check it out. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more of this sort of stuff, definitely consider subscribing. It obviously helps the channel out a lot, so very much appreciate your support. Thanks very much and have a good one.